for the Zebulon Board of Commission. Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Wake County Virtual Candidate Forum for the Zebulon Board of Commissioners. My name is Cheryl Tung, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Wake County. The League of Women Voters of Wake County is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering voters and defending democracy. We encourage informed and active participation in government, help citizens increase their understanding of public major policy issues, and work to influence public policy through education and advocacy. As a nonpartisan organization, the League of Women Voters does not endorse or oppose candidates and is proud to continue our long history of hosting candidate forums. The views, opinions, and content expressed in this presentation do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of the League of Women Voters. The town of Zebulon operates under a council-manager form of government. The Board of Commissioners is made up of the mayor, who oversees the board meetings, and 5 voting members, the mayor pro tem and 4 commissioners. The board sets policies, ordinances, and directives, while the town manager and staff handle day-to-day operations and provide advice and recommendations to the board for consideration. All candidates who filed to run for the Zebulon Board of Commissioners election on November 4th, 2025, were invited to participate in our candidate forum today. Outreach included emails and phone calls, as well as certified letters inviting candidates to respond and provide citizens with an opportunity to learn about their views. Thank you to the candidates who are with us today. Voters will choose 2 commissioners for the town of Zebulon. 6 candidates are running for 2 commissioner seats. We have 3 candidates here today and that have agreed to participate in today's candidate forum. They live in and would represent the voters of Zebulon. We will now spotlight the moderator and the candidates. Today we welcome candidates for 2 Board of Commissioners positions, Jesse Brown, Devaris Gardner, and George Roa. Welcome, Jesse, Devaris, and George. Thank you for joining us today. We will ask every candidate for the Zebulon Town Commission the same 4 questions. The questions will cover a range of issues relevant to Zebulon residents. The candidates are listed in alphabetical order by last name. The speaking order is as follows. The opening statement and the closing statement will be answered by the first person, who is the first speaker. Question 1 will be answered first by candidate 2, and so on. Before we begin, I would like to verify with all candidates here that they have not received the questions in advance of today. Can you verbally confirm?
Yes.
Yes, you have not received the questions. Okay.
Yes, I have not received the questions.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with opening statements. And Jesse, please go ahead.
Well, my name is Jesse Brown, running for Zebulon Town Board of Commissioners, running on a premise of tap me for your commissioner, being TAP, transparency, accountability, and progress. Transparency and accountability tend to run into the same trough. So with transparency, we're going to get out to the people, speak to them, get feedback, and more than what we've done in the past, meaning we're going to get on the podcast circuit. We're going to get out to these town halls. We're just going to have meet and greets with folks just so we can get a piece of everyone that's in our town and on the outside of town as well, because they're coming into town to spend their money as well. Accountability falls into the same thing. We're out there speaking to the people. You can ask us the questions that you want to know what's going on in town, what's wrong with this, what's right with this. And that progress is the right kind of progress, whether it be commercial building or residential building.
Thank you, Jesse. Devaris, please go ahead. DeVaris, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm Varus Gardner, and I'm running for town commission to restore public trust in local government. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
We might be having some technical difficulties with your speaker.
I'm having system issues.
Okay. If you want, you might want to try again, or you can log out and log back in. You want to try again? You're on mute. Yeah, you're still on mute. DeVaris, we'll let you, we're going to have you log out and log back in. And while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and go on to George, and then we'll come back to you. You can hear me. Go ahead, George.
Hi, thank you very much for having me here. My name is George Roa. I'm running for commissioner in Zebulon. I'm Christian, conservative, married. I've been here 3 years. And as soon as we got here, we started to hit the ground running. We joined an HOA where we live. We started a youth football team in town. I work in commercial development, and we brought the first commercial mixed use project to Zebulon. I'm on a church planting team here, trying to bring a Spanish speaking church into Zebulon. And my priorities are communication, right? There's a disconnect between administration and the citizens. So working on a way to improve that relationship and get things broken down clearly to the citizens. Economic development, bringing more businesses to town. I recruit businesses now for my job. I want to do that on a larger scale to minimize taxes on homeowners. And the last thing is safety and security. We need to support police and fire so that we have a safe neighborhood to live in.
Thank you, George. Okay, we're going to go back to DeVaris. And DeVaris, can you hear me? You might want to take yourself on mute. You might be better if you do turn off your camera and then unmute yourself, and we can just go with you off camera if that helps the connection. You are still muted.
Can you unmute? Cheryl, I clicked ask to unmute. I did not get a response.
Okay, we're going to move on then. We'll see if he wants to log out and come back in. We're going to move on to the question part of the forum. You each have 1 minute to respond to each question. The first question is, how would you use input from resident community groups and commissions to shape policy and ensure that residents' voices are meaningfully included in town governance? We're going to go ahead and have George start first.
Okay, well, we kind of do that now. We hold open town board meetings. We have I don't know what the proper name is, but we have these open sessions where we invite people to come in and we lay out the plan for the town and have people put little stickers or give feedback. And then that's taken to the commissioners and presented by the head of each department. And then they use that feedback to try to generate a policy that kind of fits best with that feedback. I think part of what I'm running on is creating that relationship where we can rely more on social media. We can rely more on using local voices to let people feel involved and included. And I think as long as people understand that commissioners are supposed to be guiding the town forward through its 2030 plan and its UDO and its governing documents, we just need to make sure that we educate the town on what changes we may or may not be looking to make based on existing policy. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Jesse, you have 1 minute to answer the first question. Go ahead.
Well, to piggyback on what George is saying, we do have that option in our board meetings now, citizen input. And we're going, as I spoke in my opening statement, we're going to focus on that probably even more so now. There's a real want for the townspeople to have a voice. We've been out knocking on doors in our campaign, and more often than not, they want to have their voice heard and they're asking how they can do so. So we're going to move into that area of getting out into social media more, commenting on social media, getting out into, we have events all the time in town, getting out and letting everyone know we'll be out there to have that face-to-face conversation and get input on these questions, even post them out there on social media. Hey, these are the questions that are out there. Come give me your input.
Great. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
DeVars, can you hear us and are you back with us?
I'm back.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the first question and have you answer it, and then we will let you make your opening statement. Is that okay?
That works.
Okay, we'll get you caught up. The first question was, how would you use input from resident community groups and commissions to shape policy and ensure that residents' voices are meaningfully included in town governments? Go ahead.
Collaboration with our residents is vital, especially when it comes to spending their tax dollars. It's important that we are out in the community, not only doing just a regular town meeting, but also doing special events or even each commissioner having their own time to speak to the community and be held accountable for the things that are going on. We definitely need to increase our presence across different social media platforms to get more of the word out, as well as making sure that our residents that speak a different language are able to understand what's going on in the town as well. Um, Making sure that everything we do uh, comes from the people, ideas, and also enforcing that with the different various focus groups.
Thank you, Devaris. And now, if you would like to go ahead and make your 1 minute opening statement, since you did not have that opportunity and we were experiencing technical difficulties, go right ahead.
I'm Navarre Gardner, and I'm running for Zebulon Town Commissioner because I want to restore trust in local government. It's time for Zebulon to reinvest, learn from the past, and promote smart growth as we move along. Uh, the one saying that I love is that everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. Zebulon was hit in the mouth with exponential growth, and now it's time to come up to the task of growing smartly, not only for the current moment, but for years and years to come. And we have to do that by making sure that we communicate with our residents. We are trusted by our residents. And we're also doing this with smart growth and making sure that our infrastructure can handle not only what's going on now, but for the futures to come.
Thank you, Devaris. Okay, now we're going to move on to the second question. Wake County towns have been experiencing rapid growth. How would you help ensure that housing in Zebulon is affordable for working families, seniors, and young people? George, you have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Making sure that homes are affordable has to be worked out with developers in their application process. During the time that they submit, well, for example, a 350 home development, the town can negotiate with them to see how many units they would consider making affordable homes. I think there's also might need to be some sort of fee attached to developers to create like a pot so that the town can then help families, with payments or with a down payment for a home. Affordable housing could be many different things. It could be down payment assistance programs. It could be a lower cost homes in general, or it could be assistance in rental payments for a family. So I think mixing those three together and allowing developers to help in that process when they want to come to town and build is probably the key to the future.
Thank you, George. Jesse, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Well, I think George is right. Also, bringing in the developers. I'm actually a general contractor and do some developing. In saying that, there is a lot of non-government organizations as well that will gladly come in, bring their dollars, their influence to the table to help out these families. And I really, the way housing is now, it's not just affordable housing. I think I heard the term obtainable housing. These folks, you almost minimize them by saying it's affordable. It just needs to be obtainable. Getting out to these folks, helping them out with maybe is government assistance or those private groups, but putting them all together with a developer too, and putting these neighborhoods together with that in mind, at least a percentage of it.
Great. Thank you, Jesse. Devaris, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question. Unmute yourself.
There's many facets that can help with affordable housing. One of those is education. Sometimes the affordability of a home comes from somebody's personal finance. So we can educate people on what they need to be able to qualify for a home. That would be a great thing that we can do. Also, when it comes to homes, we can actually build different communities within Zebulon uh, with funds for down payment assistance, or even help with developers on producing homes that are obtainable. That partnership is key, but we also have to put our money where our mouth is by making stuff affordable.
Thank you, Devaris. We'll now move on to the third question. How do you plan to balance the need for housing and economic development with infrastructure and traffic concerns and to preserve green space? George, you have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Thank you. Balancing those three is very difficult. Right now in Zebulon, we have, I think, 600 already approved home units coming in. And, if you put two parents and a child in there, that's an extra 18,000 people coming into Zebulon. So I think that's already on its way. What we need to do is lessen the tax burden on people, on citizens, and really drive more economic development. And what happens is when these developers like Jesse, they come into town and they purchase a property, they will be required to do all of the stormwater, sidewalk, and street enhancements as part of their development. So we give them, as part of their application process, to work with the NCDOT and the town planning department to make sure that they are responsible for fixing their areas or their nearest intersection or putting in a street light to further along working on our much needed roads, because it's coming and we just need to be able to address it. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Jesse, you now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Piggybacking again on what George said, I believe a lot of that is partnerships, multifaceted partnerships between the developer, between DOT, so at the state level, and even the federal level. So we have federal highways going through town right now as well. And what we're going to do is put these developers with the DOT. We utilize traffic studies that we've gone through several already now, but there'll have to be more in the future, obviously, as we 600 houses in one spot, 500 in another, and so on. And then add the commercial space as well. That's DOT and the developers getting together to figure out how to get people in and out of these spaces. So therefore, your infrastructure, your housing are a cohesion almost. And then also as well. So we need to utilize that, bringing them into the conversation as well.
Thank you, Jesse. We did have a little bit of you cutting out on the last 10 seconds of your answer. If you do want to repeat, you were getting on to about the green space. If you want to repeat that, I'll give you like 10 seconds to say.
Well, the biggest push we have is the infrastructure debate, with our roads and then the access to all these neighborhoods. What I was finishing out with is utilizing funds from with the federal highway system. So that federal, state, and local being us and the developer.
Okay, thank you. Davaris, you now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Infrastructure is vital to any growth. We've grown so much to where we're behind on the infrastructure. So now it's time to play catch up. And with making sure that infrastructure is built up, that'll help economic growth, and the economic growth will help lower the tax burden on our citizens. Uh, Traffic is always a problem, regardless of where you're at. It's a matter of making sure that smart planning is included in this to make the burden of traffic issues more bearable. We can always reach out with our developers to make sure that they're taking care of their areas, but then the town, the state, and the federal government will have to partner together to come up with solutions to correct the other areas where developers are not.
Thank you, Davaris. We're now going to move on to the fourth question. What is your vision for public safety in the town, and what would you do to help ensure that policing is transparent, equitable, and responsive to diverse community needs? Jesse, we're going to start with you. You now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Well, just in my background, I am a former police officer here in Zebulon as of 3 months ago when I resigned from the department to be able to run due to conflict of interest. But in saying that, it's open dialogue between the police and the community. Right now, they have an open relationship with the Boys and Girls Club. They have open relationships with groups like Cops and Bobbers, where they actually take children out to go fishing. There's other, I believe there's a basketball league that they're involved in as well. So getting out to events with our Parks and Rec department, basically, and being intermingled with the people, so you get that Q&A, you get that communication, you get the one-on-one with these kids that may only see a law enforcement officer at a bad time. Now they get to have fun and understand who they are.
Great. Thank you, Jesse. Davaris, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question. Go ahead.
Community involvement with policing is vital. You have to be out there among the people to not only understand their needs and what may be going on, to where you may be able to prevent things from happening just by having that relationship. Making sure you're hiring diverse, qualified candidates, and making sure they have the proper training. Those are vital things to making sure that our public servants are the best that they can be. But the major thing that we need to make sure that we do is we need to make sure that we are paying our public servants a decent wage, because if you're not, they're just going to leave and you're back at square one starting over. You got to maintain great public relations, and part of that has to do with making sure they're paid properly.
Thank you, Davaris. George, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Thank you. I think following Jesse's lead there, it's important to get the current police officers involved in more local community things. We started the Zebulon Bearcats youth football team, and we had Officer Mitchell. He came and he started coming and showing up, and the kids started to not be afraid of police. And then he started coaching, and he built this bond with them. And then they started talking to him about things, and he brought a captain over and started bringing police to the games. I think that's great. I think also most importantly is we need to budget for more police officers. I think hiring equitable is great and getting them involved is great, but if we don't allocate the proper resources for them to hire more people, whether they're finding local youth and putting them through the academy and they're growing them through a bullpen here in Zebulon, I think they need more money. They need more resources. We need more cop cars. Currently in town, there's only 3 police officers that make up the traffic team for a town of 14,000 people. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We're now going to move on to closing statements, but before we do, I just want to thank you all candidates for participating in our virtual candidate forum. We recognize that running and serving in elected office requires a considerable amount of time and energy, and it also means sacrificing other opportunities. The League, along with residents of Wake County, is grateful to have so many capable fellow citizens willing to step forward and serve in important duties as members of the Zebulon Town Council. And with that, we'll go to closing statements. You each have 1 minute. And Jesse, we'll start with you. Go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
Got the reminder. Thank you. Well, thanks for having us initially. It's always good to have a forum and get to put a face on these signs that we could putting on the sides of the highway. But so I'm going to bring experience to this board seat, being a builder and developer, but also being a law enforcement officer here in town for 16 years. I know what a town does at 3 p.m. and I know what it does at 3 a.m. I want to represent the community at large, everyone. When I say constituents, I mean the 14,000 plus that live here. The biggest push for that will be the communication. It's going to be getting out to town and finding out exactly what these voters want. I am their representative. I am Zebulon.
Thank you, Jesse. Devaris, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Public trust in their representatives is vital. We need to have better press regarding what's going on in Zebulon, and I intend to help provide that. But making sure that we are smart with how we grow, financially responsible, and that we reinvent Zebulon at this time of growth. We're at a crossroads to where we, the citizens of Zebulon, can make Zebulon into what we want, not what everybody thinks it should be. This is our time, and we need new voices in order to make that happen, especially those that have good ideas. And that's why I would be best suited to be a commissioner, because I listen and I make sure that I'm great at collaborating to make a vision for everyone around me.
Thank you, Devaris. George, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. In November, your viewers, you get 2 votes here in Zebulon. I'm asking that you make one of those for me. You need somebody that is going to be able to understand policy, that is going to be able to write policy, that is going to be able to take your feedback and truly bring deliberation to the current board. The board does not deliberate now. They go into meetings already having predetermined how they're going to vote on things, leaving you and us blind in their decision-making process. So I hope to bring my experience in real estate development, my master's degree in social work, my time currently serving on the planning board, to bring all those tools to the board of commissioners and just be one voice, right? One voice that starts the conversation, one voice that asks the question, one voice that tries to get people involved. And I think if you have one of those in there, multiple people will then follow suit. So vote for me this November, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, George, and to all of our candidates. And now a couple slides about how to vote in Wake County. Tuesday, November 4th is Election Day in Wake County. Early voting starts Thursday, October 16th and ends on Saturday, November 1st. Please note that the October 16th only applies to the Board of Elections location. Voting at the other 3 early voting locations begins on Saturday, October 25th and ends on Saturday, November 1st. The Avery Street Recreation Center, number 1 on the map, is in Garner at 125 Avery Street. The Herbert C. Young Community Center, number 2 on the map, is in Cary at 101 Wilkinson Avenue. And the John M. Brown Community Center, number 3 on the map, is in Apex at 53 Hunter Street. The early voting locations all have different hours. For your convenience, we have included a QR code on this slide that you can snap a picture of, allowing you to easily view the early voting locations and their hours of operation. As we conclude our forum, we encourage voters to visit vote411.org to learn more about the candidates on their ballot and to find the latest information on polling place hours and locations. Please make your voting plan for the upcoming election and encourage your friends and family to do the same. Thank you for joining us.